everyone, and happy 21 days of happy. We are so excited. Today we have Dawn and Patrick Lombard. Dawn and Patrick Lombard are Edwina and my marriage mentors. And over the years, we've learned so much from this couple. They are an amazing couple. They've taught us so much about marriage and maneuvering, navigating through the challenges of marriage. They are pastors at Oasis Church in LA. So we're super excited to have them on today. So welcome, you guys. Thank you for joining us today.
Hey, thank you for having us.
It's such an honor to be here with you guys. We're so excited.
So quickly, we're gonna hop right in because hey, we want to know how to build a happy marriage, especially during COVID-19 and beyond. But quickly, tell us a little bit about yourself.
So we are married 31 years, 32 this year.
Wow.
We have two children, a son that's 25, a daughter that's 23. As you said, we're serving as pastors over the marriage ministry at Oasis, and we have founded All About Marriage Ministry, which is a nonprofit to help couples progress in their marriage and also premaritals.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. And one thing we love about you guys, we've been under your tutelage for a couple of years. We love how just transparent you are about your marriage. You guys just lay it out on the line, and you've talked about how your marriage wasn't a piece of your marriage wasn't a piece of cake, and yeah, you talked about hey, it was a time when you almost got a divorce. So how'd you go from almost getting a divorce to now being marriage counselors? I think that's incredible.
Yeah. Huh. Well,
where should I begin? As Patrick smiles, your smile says it all.
That's a lot.
Woo! Loaded answer. But no, when we got married, one of the things that we said, which we were young, didn't know any better, was we wrote down that we wanted our marriage to help other couples, be a light to other couples. Not knowing that in order to do that, you have to have gone through something in order to help someone. It's one thing for us to read a book and tell you about it,
yeah.
For us to live it, walk it out, and actually see God move in our lives and everything come to pass that you've been believing for. So for us, it was having to truly walk out by faith for the relationship. Because like you said, we were headed to divorce. Patrick actually did serve me divorce papers. After, this was my third miscarriage because we have 5. And he served me divorce papers. He moved out. I came home. Everything was gone, like literally. So it was like, okay, wait, what just happened? Wow. And you hear that where people say, oh my God, I was so surprised. I don't even know what happened. The reality is there were red flags for both of us. And truth be told, there was accountability that we did not have. We weren't accountable. We weren't taking responsibility. And we both were just caught up in, so like you're saying, 21 days of happy. We each had our own expectations about what it meant to be happy and felt that others should meet those needs to make us happy.
One of the biggest problems that we had is we didn't have any foundation going into marriage. So we didn't take any premarital classes. We knew each other from when we were young in high school. We met at 15 and 13 years old.
Okay.
And we were always on and off relationship from that time. We got married when I was 25 and Dawn was 23. But we had no skills going into the marriage relationship. So we got back together and we got married within
3 months.
The wrong thing to do. So that's what caused a lot of our problems. So we brought a lot of baggage into the marriage relationship. Dawn was already a Christian. I had just rededicated my life back to the Lord. So I was coming straight out of the streets. And I had all the baggage of the streets. And I brought all of that into the marriage.
Okay.
You can only imagine the problems that, escalated from there.
Right.
So that's why we're so, passionate about teaching premarital classes, because it gives people a firm foundation to where you understand clearly what the expectations are that both of you have, and are you able to meet those expectations. It gives you communication skills, how to deal with conflict, all the skills that you need in order to have a successful marriage. And we didn't have any of those skills, and that's why we ran into a block wall.
Wow. So, of course, now we're in this very unusual era, to say the least, as far as COVID-19. Many of us are still quarantined. We've been quarantined for about 2 months. And a lot of, for a lot of marriages, it's been very stressful. People are quarantined from home. Now they're working from home. In many cases, both spouses are home and the children are home. And a lot of people are experiencing financial stressors, child care stressors, maybe concerned about bills and health, and are we going to get the disease, and so many different factors that are now being piled on top of their marriage, and I talk sometimes about how we say pre-existing conditions, right, when it comes to the virus, but what about pre-existing conditions when it comes to marriage and family, and how things are exacerbated during COVID-19. So what would you say to people who might be on the edge right now, as far as their marriage relationship?
Well, so you make a good point, because like you said, conditions. So all of us had pre-existing conditions. So prior to COVID-19, everybody had their level of communication or lack thereof. Everyone had their areas of frustrations and conflict, whether it was minimal or a lot. And exacerbation is exactly what occurred, because now you brought in all these other stressors, and so it's easy when you're not staying at home to avoid those topics and dealing with things that are causing you these frustrations, because you can leave, you can go to work and spend the rest of the day, you can take the kids to school, you can take them to activity and be out the house, and not do that together, and then come home at night and be like, well, I'm tired. Your spouse is too, so you're just like, okay, good night, so you just passed each other throughout the day, but you didn't really have a conversation, so you didn't have to address those things that were symptoms, that were signs of the fact that you had some existing conditions. But now that we're living together 24/7, it's all right there, you can't run from it. And so it's an opportunity for us to not only grow in our relationship with each other, but grow in your relationship with God, because you can't do this without him. We can do nothing without him. Yeah. He's a creator. He manufactured and created marriage. So why would we not look to him on how do we do this?
So when you talk about communication, I know that there are some specific elements of communication, right? Like you said, how it's very easy to be out in the world every day, come home, hey, how you doing? How you doing? Okay, and everybody go their separate ways. Good night. But one of the things that we've definitely been blessed by through you all is understanding that there are levels and layers of communication when it comes to married couples. Can you talk about that?
Yeah. So I gave an example in one of the classes that we did with you guys as it relates to, you can have a level of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And so typically most people think as 5 as being, the level you want to aspire to, you think in your mind because 5 is higher. But the reality is in communication, you want to go deeper. So you want to go lower. You want to get to 1, because 5 is just a surface conversation. So it's literally, you guys saying, hey, Patrick, Dawn, thanks for joining us. And we're like, thank you. And that's it, where you continue down the pendulum from 5 to 1, and you're going from hi, how are you, to, hey, did you hear what happened on the news today? Did you know we went up in the numbers with COVID? No, I didn't know that. So now you're sharing some information with me that's not necessarily pertaining to me specifically, but you share some information. You gave some facts. So now we want to get a little deeper. So we went from 5 to 4 to 3 to 3, where it's more like, oh my gosh, did you know the numbers went up today? I was wondering, how are you guys feeling about that? Oh, I really haven't even given it any thought because we're good. you know? So now I've just exchanged some information. You've asked me a little bit about it, but we didn't really get deep into the conversation. So now I've said, okay, well, let's go a little bit deeper with this. So you've acknowledged me. Hey, how's it going? Hey, did you hear about COVID-19? The numbers went up. Oh my God, how are you guys doing? We're okay. But you know what? We do have family members in another state that are affected by it. They're on ventilators in the hospital, and I'm concerned. So now I'm sharing a little bit more about what I'm thinking, what I'm feeling. So I didn't just brush you off with, oh yeah, I heard that. It's now, this is what I'm thinking about it. And now, if I'm really honest, yeah, we've got family with that. But if I really want to go even deeper, then now I'm going to say to you, yeah, I heard about what was going on. Yeah, I know the numbers went up. Yeah, it's kind of concerning. I got family, in another state that's dealing with it. But really, my biggest concern is, how is that going to affect us? I mean, I think about when my husband leaves for work and he's in an environment where I know he could be exposed. And I think about, oh my God, what if he got infected? And how would I live with that? And then how would he live with bringing it home? And then what if I got infected and our kids got infected? And you know what? And then I just start crying. Now I'm being vulnerable and I'm exposing my heart to you and I'm giving you everything about what I'm thinking about. And in our relationships, a lot of times we stick to, hey, babe, how was your day? Great. How was yours? Wonderful. Okay. We went to eat, you know?
Mm-hmm. So we really work at being real intentional about being open and honest with each other. Mm-hmm. So, and it takes a lot of work. It doesn't just happen because you get in a routine. Both of you guys live very busy lives, and you have your responsibilities. He has his responsibilities. You guys connect when the kids are concerned, and you do whatever responsibilities you have with the kids. And you can have minimal conversation throughout the day in a regular situation. But now with COVID, so now you're in a confined space with each other as well as with the kids, and it's like 24/7. So now you're almost forced to conversate with each other. When normally you would maybe send each other a text, call for a minute, and it happens and it's no big deal. And then you come home at night and you may have a little dinner together, spend a little time talking, the kids go to bed, you do whatever you got to do and everything's all good. But now in this situation, you have to communicate with each other. And if you haven't normally been open and honest and vulnerable with each other, it can feel uncomfortable. Mm. And you have to learn how to be intentional about opening yourselves up to your spouse, where you can really have that emotional connection that everybody is looking for in a marriage relationship. Every person that is married wants that intimate emotional connection, but it doesn't just happen. You have to be intentional about being able to achieve that.
Yeah, that's we don't
know anything about that, for the record. You're talking about completely different people.
Right. So that's why we got married, right? For intimacy. Yeah. It makes me think, I was reading somewhere where the divorce rate is between 40 to 50%. That's in the world, and that's in the church as well. And it makes me think about, like, the divorce is not an event, it's more of like a process. And you guys often talk about silent frustrations, or these resentments that kind of build up, that aren't talked about, that aren't communicated, right? And it kind of can build up into this event called divorce. Can you talk a little bit about, the whole silent frustrations I'm still working out. We still are working out our frustrations, and we have to really be intentional. That's for me. I have to really be intentional about that.
Well, that's everybody. You know,
yeah.
It's not just you. I mean, even though we've been married over 30 years, we still have to work at it. And I think that's the problem, is that people have in their mind that this is just supposed to happen. It's supposed to just work. And, you know, okay, if I do have to work at it, we ought to be able to fix it and keep it moving. Right. No, this is a daily walk, you know, just like a relationship with Christ, because he gives you the model. Our marriage is the model of the church and Jesus Christ. It's a daily walk. Well, so is your marriage. It's a daily walk. And so, yeah, we're going to have frustrations. The problem is when we, like Patrick talked about, you know, not being open and vulnerable and communicating what the frustrations are, which could be numerous reasons. It could be because you want to avoid a fight, because you think, you know what, I know if I share this, it's going to cause a problem, you know, or you have this, well, I mentioned this, I don't know how many times before, and nothing was ever done about it, so why talk about it again? You know, so we all have our different reasons about why we don't do what we do, but the bottom line is when you don't resolve it, it's suppressed and you're frustrated. And it's going to come out one way or another. So if you don't communicate it verbally, it's going to come out in your nonverbals.
See, and in this COVID environment, you know, the silent frustrations can really cause some serious issues. I know, I remember I gave an example of one of my silent frustrations is Dawn traveled a lot for her job. And in her travels, they were really issue for me because I didn't realize how much I was going to miss her while she was gone. So she would travel once a week, and she would be gone for 2 or 3 days every week. And after a period of time, you know, that became a frustration for me because I wanted her to be at home with me.
But he wasn't communicating that. Mm. So what would happen is I would leave, go out of town, be like, oh, babe, take me to the airport. He would take me, kiss me bye, and I'm like, everything's wonderful. And then I would come home. Are you going to pick me up? You're like, oh, I thought you were going to take me.
By the way, I can't relate.
Oh, it's like, oh, you're not taking Uber? Well, no, I wanted you to pick me up, you know? Who wants to take Uber? Take Uber, you know? And then I come home and he just was some kind of way. And I'm like, what is going on here? But he wasn't communicating. So I'm thinking, wow, what happened while I was gone? You know, not thinking it's because I was gone.
So, you know, the job was good because she was making money, but the price that we had to pay for her to make the money, I wasn't willing to pay that price anymore. But I didn't communicate that. So I wasn't open and honest about my feelings about her being gone and how I missed her. So she didn't understand the silent frustration that I was dealing with because I wasn't open and honest about it.
Now, what is that? Just as far as that vulnerability and intimacy, transparency, right? Because you all talked about that earlier, that everybody wants that. Mm-hmm. But why is it so hard for us to give that?
Well, because we're selfish in nature. You know, that's the reality. We're all born selfish, really. You know, by the time about just being born in sin. So, you know, you have to be intentional about not being selfish. So when I'm wanting the intimacy and not being selfish, it should be, how can I meet your need? What can I do to connect with you instead of me evaluating him? Usually we evaluate the other and not ourselves. So instead I'm like, well, why aren't you doing to meet my need and you need to do for us to be intimate, and what's going on with you, instead of, okay, Dawn, what can you do better for us to be intimate? How can you be more open and vulnerable with Patrick? How can you change the dynamics for us to connect better? Because now I'm self-evaluating versus pointing the finger.
Yeah.
You also have to, you have to deal and be honest with your own fears. You may not have brought it up or been open about it because maybe you have a fear that you may be rejected. and you don't want to deal with the rejection at the time. And so you have to be honest with yourself about where you are. So there needs to be a self-awareness of, you know, how are you processing and how are you dealing with the whole situation and the circumstance, and what is really hindering you or keeping you from being open and honest and truthful about how you really feel.
One of the classes we did recently, you guys were in, when we were talking about a comparison just biblically, was Jesus at Gethsemane and how he shared with the apostles how he was feeling. You know, he was emotional. He was like, this is not what he wants to do right now. You know, he didn't want to go to the cross. He was crying and he's frustrated that they weren't praying. But he shared and communicated with them his frustration.
That's good.
Yeah. That's why we say this is work.
Daily. You know, I mean, as I listen to you guys, and Edwina and I constantly reflect, it's like who really teaches us how to have a successful marriage, right? I mean, we all, I believe, walk in, or at least I did. I mean, we walk into marriage with these fantasies that it's just going to be great. We're just going to have a happy marriage. And then when challenges come, it's like, uh-oh, that fantasy bubble was popped, right? And it wasn't until we really got under your tutelage and started studying and working on ourselves that things begin to change.
So, you know, we always talk about how we liken things to employment, if you will, and how when you prepare for a career, you study, you know, you go to school, you make sure you get certified or get a license, you know, for whatever that is that you're, you know, focused on to do as your career. And then not only that, once you obtain whatever that career is, you stay abreast of things so that you're the go-to person, so that you maintain your license, your certification, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So how much more should we do that when we're getting licensed to marry one another? You know, we're like us, you know, we just weren't educated. We didn't know. So you only do what you know to do. So if I don't know how to be married, guess what? That's what's going to happen. We don't know how to be married, and we're going to be living by the seat of our pants trying to figure it out.
Right.
So.
Right.
And that's the one thing about being a Christian is you need to be a continual learner always anyway.
Yeah.
We have to maintain a teachable spirit. So as we, you know, submit ourselves and surrender ourselves to the power of the Holy Spirit in our lives, that's one of the things that he says is that he's your teacher. So, you know, he'll place you in different places with different people that will help you to learn the skills that you need to learn in order for you to be, you know, effective in doing and fulfilling the purpose that God has called you to.
Yep. Yeah, and that's true. Hey, Patrick, I have a question for you, just man to man. Anyway, I mean, and we always hear that men and women are different, right? You know, like we'll get to you, Dawn and Edwina, but yeah, I just want to ask, like, what do you think men need or want in a marriage, or what would you say to men out there, right? You know, to keep this marriage going.
Well, men are totally different from women, and they don't need the same thing that women need. And there needs to be an understanding that, you know, your wife needs to understand that she can't give you what she wants and expect you to be fulfilled. She needs to give you what you need. So men, one of the top needs that men have is they need to be respected. So, you know, and that respect can look different in different ways. I know there was a time period, you know, where Dawn was wearing a certain kind of clothes, and I interpreted that as being disrespectful because she was my wife. So I don't expect my wife just to go out wearing any kind of clothing and think that that's okay with me. So, you know, you have to be able to communicate what says disrespect to you as a man.
Mm.
So it's very important for you to make sure that she understands what's disrespectful and what's not disrespectful to you. Because what may be disrespectful to me, to the next man, he's like, that's not that big of a deal for me. So it's good for you to make sure that there's clear understanding where she is concerned, that she understands what's disrespectful. Mm. We also, as men, we want our wives to admire us. We want them to think that, hey, you may not have been to the gym and since you got married,
Not since the quarantine, right. Since you got married.
If she tell you, man, your body looking good, man.
You don't see my muscles bulging right now. Anyway.
If she tell you, boy, your stomach is looking tight, But if she tell you that, you like, oh man, you could just like take your shirt off, looking in the mirror, like,
Right.
So, and then we also, as men, we, one of the reasons God made a wife is He said He doesn't want us to be alone. Yeah. So for companionship, you want your wife to be your best friend. You want to hang with her, and where is no, sometimes you don't have no agenda. You just want to chill, and she's cool with that. You guys don't need to have anything in specific that you want to do, but you just enjoy being around each other. You enjoy each other's company. So, and one other big thing that I always talk about is a man wants his wife to believe in him. When a wife knows how to communicate that to her husband, that regardless of however many times he failed, however things he came up short, but if she tells him constantly, baby, I believe in you, you can do this, that man will try to run through a wall for her. I don't know why it is, but God set that up like that. And if she understands how to communicate to her husband that she believes him regardless of whatever happened in the past, that she continues to believe in him and affirm him, that will get him through, no matter what situation or circumstance he's dealing with.
Yeah, that's good. I wish I could put some emojis, some rockets, That's good. Dang, that's on point, Patrick. How about you, Dawn? What do women want in a marriage? What do they need, and what would you say to women out there to kind of keep their marriage going?
So for women, what the Bible tells you, so like Patrick talked about, men need respect, and the Bible is specific in talking about how men need to love their wives and love them as they love themselves, because we want to be loved. Respect is something that we have to learn how to work on towards our husbands, but we want our husbands to love, because respect is innate in them. Love is innate in us. So we need to learn how to do the opposite with one another. And so, again, like Patrick is saying, we have to know what communicates love. I need to know, what does that mean for me, so I can articulate it to him. It's one thing for me to say, oh, I want you to love me, but I don't know what that means. And I can't articulate it to him. So he's like, well, I don't know. How am I supposed to love you? So for me, like with Patrick, security is one of the big things with women. We want to feel secure. And so I felt when he used to go out, whether it was going out to families or friends, wherever it was, when he wasn't at home, it was love showed me, it was calling me and saying, hey, babe, I'm going to be late. Or, hey, babe, I'm over at so-and-so's. Just that check-in of letting me know, this is where I'm at. Instead of, I know he left the house, it's Saturday, he left the house at 10 a.m., and it's now 5, and I'm like, cooking dinner, done, and he's not home. So for him not not to call me and say, hey, babe, I'm over at blah, blah, blah. I'll be home in a minute. For me, I'm like, well, that's not communicating love, because love would say, you know, I know it's close to dinner time. I've been gone some hours. Let me let her know I'm thinking about her, one, because that communicates that you're thinking about me when you call and check in with me. I mean, and now, you know, if you even text me, I'm good with that. But letting me know, you know, hey, babe, I'm at such and such. I'll be home in 30 minutes, 20 minutes. Great, babe. Thank you. I'm going to warm the food up for you when you get here. I just finished it. You know, so for me, part of my security was knowing that he loved me by letting me know, hey, this is where I'm at. And so I was adopted, you know, at a year old. So for me, I had abandonment issues. So I needed to be able to articulate to him, I feel abandoned when I don't have a sense of where you are and what's going on with you. Now that could seem to someone else extreme. Like, wow, you feel abandoned because your husband didn't call or text you? Well, yeah, because I was having issues in that area. You know, it was an area of growth for me. I was insecure, feared rejection. So I had issues. So for me, I needed him to love me in a manner which was communicating love for me, which was, hey, babe, this is where I'm at. You know, the other piece about that is women want a husband that leads them. You know, I hear this a lot when we counsel couples, that wives will say, I mean, well, I could have did this all by myself.
You got a lot of you just can't hear them. You got a lot of you can't hear them. Well, we heard them.
I could say something, but I'm gonna leave that alone.
But you know, we hear that a lot, you know, for different reasons, you know. But at the end of the day, a woman wants a man to lead her. Do we have issues sometimes with being independent because maybe we got married later on in life and so we've been doing it by ourselves for a while? Or we're a strong woman that knows how to get things done, and so you can kind of, you know, take control a little bit. You know, so there's some onus on our part as it relates to allowing our husbands to lead us. But at the end of the day, we want a leader. We want a husband that's going to take charge, run the show, and say, come on, babe, let's go. You know? So the other part I would say, like Patrick talked about, companionship. So for us as women, we're relational. You know, you hear a lot of times people say, oh, women are emotional. Well, we're relational. And with the relationships comes emotions. So yes, we're relational and emotions come with that. And so we want to have a relationship with our husband to where we can be vulnerable and show our emotions to where it's not a ding, you know, where, oh gosh, you know, here she go, getting deep and heavy.
Yeah. Do you have any tips, any practical tips? Like, for instance, one friend of mine, she was really on my spirit for the last couple of weeks, and I sent her an email just to check in because I hadn't talked to her in several months and I didn't hear back. And finally, I sent her a text and heard back from her, and I was asking, how are you? How's your husband? How's your child? And then she sent this long text back about how they're talking about divorce and looking at custody options and, you know, and all these different things, and sounded really heartbroken. This is just through text, you know, and I know her well enough to know that she does not want to get divorced. But I think what's probably happened is that they are at the end of their rope and just don't know what to do, you know. And so I wonder if you have any practical strategies for people that in their heart of hearts, they don't want to get divorced, who really wants to get divorced. But a lot of times it happens, I think, because people just feel like they don't know what to do anymore. What would you say to them?
Get help. I think what usually happens is, see, the enemy is good at isolating. So if he can get you isolated, so like, you know, she doesn't respond to your text messages or your phone calls because she's caught up in the situation. So now she doesn't have anyone in her ear to speak hope to her, to speak life to her. Same for him. So where is the help going to come from? You need help. It's not, this life was not meant for you to do alone. The Bible talks about safety in the multitude of counsel. There's wisdom in getting help. And I think we need to be open and honest about where we are. And if a couple really doesn't want to get a divorce, you need to get the help that is available, whether it's through mentorship, counseling. You need to get help, and be open and honest with each other about it, and saying, I don't really want a divorce. I'm just frustrated. I feel like I don't know how to be the wife for you that I need to be. We need to take ownership too. So it's not about you're not this and you're not that, and I'm not happy because you're not. No, I don't know how to be the wife that I need to be for you, and I'm frustrated, and I know you reap what you sow. So, if I'm frustrated and I'm sowing frustration, I'm getting back frustrations, and we're just bumping heads. So why don't we pause, and I'm just going to tell you, I love you, and we need help.
And there's a lot of help available out there if you seek for it. I'm thinking about, so what a lot of people do, especially after they start filing papers to get divorced, then you see them in the next month or a couple of weeks or so, and their appearance has changed. They've lost weight. They maybe changed their hairstyle. They maybe changed, the way they dress, because now they feel like they're going to be on the market.
The husband started working out again. He went back to the gym.
That's what you were waiting for the whole marriage, to get divorced?
So why didn't you take that same effort when you started thinking about you're going to be, available to be attracted to someone else now, and that same effort that you took to lose weight, to fix your hair, to change your clothes, and invest that into your marriage? See, so it's all about how you think. So you have to really take inventory of what is my thinking process, and do I really want the marriage? See, when we counsel couples, the first question we ask them is, do you want this marriage? Because we can't help you if you don't want the marriage. So, and like we always talk about, in order for any marriage that's successful, any period of time, you're going to have to put some work and some effort and be intentional about what you're doing in order to succeed. So every marriage is salvageable. I don't care what problem or what level you're at, it's salvageable. And you can work through whatever issues that you're at. We've taken couples from, you wouldn't be surprised at how low they were, and saw them recover. So when you're willing to put the work in, and you're willing to do what it takes in order to overcome whatever issues that you're dealing with, God can help you, and he can restore your marriage, and it can be better than you ever thought. But it's up to you.
You all are a living witness of that.
Exactly.
Amen. He's no respect of person. So what he did for us, he can do for somebody else. But you have to be willing, like Patrick said. If you're willing, sky's the limit.
Yeah, I guess just a few more questions, and we know you guys are busy, and we're going to let you run. But yeah, one thing sometimes, I think about here from people is like, but where do you get help, right? Or sometimes it's difficult, right? Or sometimes I feel like there's these misperceptions that if you get help, you're weak, or why can't I handle this on my own, right? Or it's just better to go talk to my Uncle Ray, right? He seemed to know everything. Right? So
Uncle Ray been divorced 5 times.
Yeah. So yeah, a lot of times I think we have a lot of misconceptions about getting help, or not clear on the channels to get help. So when you say get help, just clarifying that a little bit, I think would be helpful.
Sure. So pastoral counseling, if you do go to a therapist, you want them to be biblically based. I know that a lot of people are employed and have insurances where they don't have that as an option. So when you do go to a counselor, make sure that you interview them. Are they married?
Mm.
How successful are they in their
Right.
I know
Makes
to counselors who they've never been married, or they're divorced and on their second marriage, or they are single. Well, I kind of have a problem with that, because now you're going off a theory of what you read or what you were taught in your psychology class. I mean, I took psychology. That's all great. I mean, there are certain practices and principles that work, whether you're saved or not. But at the end of the day, God created an ordained marriage. And if you want it to work, you need biblical principles. So that's one thing I would say. So you don't have a counselor, you don't have the money. Now there's no excuse. There are so many podcasts. There are so many audio books and things.
Are there any that you can mention?
Jimmy Evans, we love Jimmy Evans. So any material by Jimmy Evans, Marriage Today.
What about the class you teach?
Our class.
That's a good class.
Well, but Patrick, that face though.
No.
He's like, that's my face toward both of y'all for that book that's coming.
Right. That's good. That's my next question.
Yeah. It's coming.
Yeah. And the class you teach is free.
That's right.
This is true. We do.
So where can we find out? Like where?
Yeah. How can we follow you guys?
Yeah. Can we follow you guys online? Are you on YouTube, Instagram, or yeah?
A good old fashioned email. How should people connect with you?
Because you guys are really amazing.
Yes. The
things you say are so powerful.
We have a couple of things. So we do have a couple videos that we had put up on YouTube under Patrick Lombard.
Okay.
So we're, because we're a little older than you guys, we were slow to the table. We were not early adopters as it related to Instagram, but we do have a handle now.
Okay.
So it is all _about marriage.
Okay. All _about marriage. Yep. And is that on Instagram or YouTube? Where is it?
So that's at Instagram.
Okay.
At all _about.
Okay, cool. Okay. Sounds good.
Great.
Email is info@allaboutmarriage.org.
Okay.
Wonderful. Thank you.
So is there a book coming out?
There is.
Okay.
There is. And as you guys know, we write the curriculum. So the classes that we teach, we write the curriculum for it. We write the homework assignments for it. So it's a matter of packaging now.
Yes. Right.
For a long time, we've been teaching marriage classes and doing counseling for over 20 years, But like I said, we've always been in it to help couples. It's never been about anything else.
Yeah.
That even in this situation, it's great for people to put their hands on something. So.
Yeah, so good. So good. Well, thank you so much for just being with us.
Yeah, you guys are great.
We appreciate you, and thank you for letting us all know where we can follow you. And if you have any parting words of wisdom, we certainly are happy to hear them.
Well, I would just like to say, anybody that's struggling in this time, with the COVID situation and everything that's going on, the world is totally changed. This is a whole different society that we live in. I would encourage you to hold on, and if you don't have a relationship with Christ, I would encourage you to get a relationship with Christ. Jesus is the manufacturer of marriage. So you wouldn't take a Mercedes-Benz to a Volkswagen dealer. So if you want to know and have, insight on how to have a successful marriage, I would encourage you to read your Bible and get with people that can help you to understand the truths of the Bible and outline to you the principles in the Bible of how to be successful in your marriage relationship. He made it for a specific reason and a specific purpose, and it was for your pleasure and delight. That's where he put them in Eden, and that's what Eden means, pleasure and delight. So you know that that was in God's mind when he created marriage. So if you're not experiencing pleasure and delight, you got some work to do. So I would encourage you, and you guys are all welcome to, visit our classes. We have classes every Sunday at 10:20.
Yeah.
And what's the site?
It's on Zoom. So if you direct message us.
Yeah, DM you. Yeah.
Yeah, you can get a link.
Yeah.
And
Awesome.
I would say, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. We're all in this together. The Bible says iron sharpens iron. And we have mentors like Edwina and Kelvin. We need other couples to yoke up with as we go through life. So join us.
That's great. Well, thank you so very, very much for being our guest today.
Yeah, we appreciate it. Wow, that was good.
Yeah, you are a blessing.
Well, we appreciate everything you guys are doing, and it's a wonderful thing that you guys are encouraging people on this platform. So it was a pleasure for us to be here with you guys.
Yeah. Thank you for your time.
You're welcome.
Love you guys.
Have the rest of your day.
All right. Rest up, Patrick.
I will, brother.
All right.
All right.
Bye.